Hey, today we're going to be talking about a number that matters on Easter. With Easter coming up real quick, there's some things we need to pay attention to, and numbers have a way of focusing us. So let's get going here at the Better Sundays podcast at Reachkeep.com. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to the Better Sundays podcast here at Reachkeep.com. I am Mike Holmes, your host today, and it's good to have you on board. As we approach Easter season, we find that it is a great time of the focus of the entire Christian faith. It's the resurrection of Christ, and what a wonderful thing it is. It's a great holiday, if you call it that, but really it is the pivotal moment in all of Christianity, and I'm so excited about it. Because of that, we have a lot of people that, for whatever reason, decide to come to church on those days. And since we're talking about having better Sundays, I thought I'd go through a few numbers associated with Easter and let you pick the one that you think is the most important number. I will give you my top three here, and we'll kind of go from there. So we get into different numbers that are associated with Easter. Let's just start with the number one, okay? The first Sunday after the first full moon, after the first spring of the year, or something like that. For some reason, Easter is tied to the number one and the first full moon thing, and you can kind of look all that up. This year, like many years, Easter and Passover are totally backwards, which, if you're kind of following the whole biblical narrative, the dates are kind of goofy. Passover is much later this year, and it, of course, took place at the same time of the crucifixion and all that. So the number one, we're going to give you that one to vote on if you like that one. The number three, of course, boy, that's a great number, has to do with Easter, and we know what that is. 3 days, 3 nights in the grave. The Lord rose up again. What a wonderful story that is. The number 30 is associated with Easter and kind of the crucifixion, really, and the Judas thing. That's kind of a boo. We don't want that number. That's not a good one. There are other numbers. I wrote down a couple different ones here. 630, not 630, but 6:30 is when a lot of sunrise services start. And I was just talking to a pastor about a sunrise service, and he's going to start at 6:30 in the morning. So a lot of churches do something kind of special, and they actually would have more services, a different number of services. So that's an important number. I do like that. I do like it that we make it available for people to come and do something special. A number that might be in your mind is the number that you're hoping would attend church on Easter. If you run 50, it's conceivable that you could have 75 on Easter. If you run 100, you could have 150. Pretty easy to get about another 50% people showing up on Easter because there's some traditional things going on and family visiting. And if you have some good activities ahead of time, which we're going to talk about, those numbers, pretty good chance you'll get a pretty good boost in attendance. So that's a number. Some of the numbers that I think they're more important here, and this is one, this kind of gets into sort of my favorite numbers here, and I'm just trying to keep this real simple for you. The number of preparation meetings that you have before Easter. In other words, a number of times you're with your people or on a phone call with them, or kind of getting together to talk about how can we do this better? Is there something we could improve? Maybe we can paint, something. Maybe we can fix something. Maybe we can, do, some special activities. If you're going to do an Easter sunrise service, you better be talking to people about that. So the number of the number of communication points or meetings ahead of time, that is a very, very important number. And you want to focus on that. Take time to focus on that. If you want to learn more about some of those prep meetings and different things that you can do, we have got just a great little handout. It's not really a handout in this case. It's more of an online course that comes to you in email. It's called the 9-Day Easter Challenge. And you can just, I'll put the link on the page here, but you can go to that, and that will help you really kind of of get focused and know what some of those meetings need to be. If you're thinking, wow, I'd like to have another 50% people, okay, the 9-day challenge will help you do that. So I'll put the thing on the screen right there. So the number of meetings, that's a good one. This is another one. The number of associated, I don't even know how to quite say this, the number of preparation activities that you are doing. This is not meeting about them, but actually doing different things that you would do. So I wrote this down like you may have purchased 1,000. That's a good number. 1,000 door hangers. These are the little pre-printed door hangers. Welcome, come to our church service on Easter. You can get them blank and print them yourself. A lot of cool things you can do with door hangers. But the number of those, that activity, the number of visits. Maybe you would like to have that big Easter service we were talking about a moment ago, and you say, hey, we need to make 100 visits in the weeks before, and you kind of put their names on cards, and you ask everybody in your church to go visit 2 or 3 people or whatever. The number of postcards in a mailing, perhaps you would pick that number where you would say, hey, our post office has 2,000 or 3,000 in our zip code, or whatever the number would be in your little neck of the woods there, and you would prepare postcards and put that out. So that's a great number too. But let me give you my favorite number, and you knew I was getting to this. The last one's the best, and that is the number of people who will be coming back to church the week after Easter. The number of folks that return the following after, and I think that's a very legitimate goal to try to have, a family, 2 families, whatever, whatever portion of ministry you're trying to build. We would love to have some of those. And then you share that with your people and you give them your vision that your goal is not to, have a gazillion people in the service, but to have a family coming the week after Easter, to have somebody following up, coming back and being with you the next week, and then maybe the next week and the next week. Another number would be the number of people that are there a month after Easter. Those are some numbers. I'd like you to pick one on there, but don't just let Easter sneak by you this year. Take some time and make this an awesome Easter, a rememberable Easter. And you go like, well, all that stuff, it's just, a lot of hype and a lot of this and that. No, it's going to be the beginning day for somebody. Somebody's going to say, 20 years from now, they go, yeah, I was back on Easter Sunday, back in that little town, when I went to a service and I heard the gospel, or I brought my family and we got back in church, we got right with God, and it all started on Easter, and you can make that happen. But to make that happen, you're probably going to need to focus on 1 or 2 of these numbers. So anyway, wanted to share that with you. The 9-day Easter challenge is just an excellent way for you to kind of get some tutoring along this. It's 9 little miniature little videos that will come to you in email 9 days in a row. And if you start up today, you'll get one tomorrow and be a great help to you to reach a bunch of folks. So you just go to reachkeep.com/Easter challenge is the word there, and you'll get the 9-day challenge. I know that'll be helpful. So, and there's another number, 9. Didn't even think about that. So anyway, God bless you guys. If this has been helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe. If you're listening to this on the podcast, Spotify, wherever you happen to be, please go ahead and subscribe. And we will see you the next time here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.